Hi everybody, welcome back to the Energy Stoners Cafe and Talk with TQ. Today I have one of the most extraordinary artists to present to you, and I'm very excited to interview her. Her name is Maureen Winzig, and her website is winzigarts.com. And it's very exciting for me to interview her because I've known her for many years, and I've watched her evolve, and I've watched her work evolve. So I'm really excited for you to meet her. Maureen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, TQ.
This is the coolest thing that you're here.
It is.
You know, we haven't interviewed together for a while. I think we interviewed maybe 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And since then, you've gone through a few things with your art. And I'm wondering if your art is reflective of some of the things you've gone through personally. But you have an exhibit coming up, and I believe it's a solo exhibit.
Yes.
And tell us about it. The title of it is Ache.
Ache, exactly.
So how did this title evolve? And tell me about the work and how it evolved.
Ache came from a doodle, and I was experimenting, with white charcoal pencil on black paper. This work, this body of work, and this solo exhibit is it's in response to the pandemic, losing my husband during the pandemic.
So sorry.
And being left to grieve in shutdown, lockdown, isolation. You can't go inside a building, can't go, at people's homes. People brought me food to my door with their masks on and put it down on the table outside and gave me one of these hugs.
Yeah.
And my poor cat got hug abuse during that whole time.
What is hug abuse?
Because I just squeezed him all the time.
Oh,
So,
that Johnny Cat?
Johnny Cat. Yes, thanks for remembering.
Yeah.
So I've always been afraid to totally paint or draw or express my real deep feelings because they scare the crap out of me. So why would I want to do that to anybody else? And with my poetry, I would write about things, and things that were just murmurs suddenly became technicolor and, enunciated and perfect. And they would tear me apart, the poems, and I couldn't even read them. So I thought this would be the same, but I just experimented. Drawing. I've been, real prolific with the portraits lately. So I just did facial expressions of people going through these pains that sometimes you don't even have a name for, or you don't even know it until you allow it to happen. So I started drawing, and they're small drawings, and so I had a few of them together, and someone who I shared that idea of, they'll kill me. She said to me, my friend Loretta says, well, what would happen? How do you feel when you look at these all together? And I said, oh my God, this is amazing, because I look at them all and I say, oh my God, you're scared, you're sad, you're broken, you need love. Let me love you, I'll love you. And I suddenly felt empowered, of my own feelings and my own life. And I'm like, wow, people in the States especially don't have a vocabulary about death. They're terrified of death. They don't know how to, comfort others, or people would rather eat a bag of chips or binge watch some show or do absolutely anything, get good and drunk, other than look at their feelings. But I've discovered that if I don't, they will build up and build up and build up until I blow up. I can't do that. It's just me looking out for me now. And so, I did write a poem once about these dogs barking in the basement, and they just bark and bark and bark and bark all day long. So I would turn up the radio, I'd turn up the TV, I would just start singing and screaming. And then I just one day opened the door and stood behind it And the dogs, all they wanted was to get out.
That's a reason to bark.
Yeah, they just wanted to get out. Just like these feelings, just want to get out.
Yeah, it's very metaphoric, that kind of thinking.
Yes, yes. So the pieces made themselves. I would just show up to work every day, to my studio, like I'm going to make the donuts, and things would just come to me. And so, I've wrapped them. I wrapped the front of them. I covered them with this heavy-duty paper, and it's like skin. It's tough, but it still tears. And it kind of shows the vulnerability. I covered up with this thick paper, and then I tore open the paper, revealing this emotion that's inside.
Yeah, I did get a glimpse of some things. I snuck up to your studio and talked to you a little bit about it. And I think that it's what I'll say so that the audience will know, because they want to see this exhibit. There's something very edgy about it. And it's, you might feel a little awkward at some of the images, depending upon where you're at in your stage of accepting yourself for how you feel.
Yeah, I don't know if I should put some sort of a warning.
No,
but,
no.
it's not the flowers and sunsets that I paint over my pain usually. Yeah. Oh my God, I want to die. Let's paint a sunset. Ooh, I'll feel so much better. And it works. That works a lot until, a pandemic and all this other stuff. It's like, no. Let's be honest. So it's an honest show. And what I realized looking at them all, I can see them in my mind, is that, with the paper torn like that, it's like they're bursting out. They just want you to name them and claim them and let them go. I can't let something go that I don't know what it is, and I can't find it because I refuse to look at it.
So your work has always been somewhat emotional, and you've always put a purpose to what you do. I'm thinking about your series that you did some time ago that you've got a lot of attention for, called Heroes and Sheroes.
Yeah.
And you really did some outstanding portraiture in that, and you did a whole, I don't like to use the word collage because it's beyond that. Talk a little bit about, I appreciate you sharing your process.
Yes.
That's really nice of you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about your process. Between when I first met you, you were doing a lot of interesting things, beautiful seascapes, riverscapes, landscapes, some portraiture, some what appeared to be social commentary. So I just want to invite the audience to check you out at winzigart.com.
Right.
And you'll see some of that. But it seems that you've really evolved. I don't want to say matured, but you're more honest, or you're more comfortable in revealing what's inside.
Yeah.
Now, does that have something to do with the things you've been through in the past few years?
Well, thanks for asking about the Heroes and Sheroes, because that evolved from just losing my faith in mankind as a species.
Yeah.
Because there were people running for office. There's just so many shenanigans going on with the people that are supposed to be looking out for us are lying, or, was it Martin Luther King? I forget who said, the worst crime is not doing anything at all. It's like, don't, if you know better, something is wrong, and you don't say anything about it, and you just let your party go crazy or whatever. And I was like, I was so disgusted. My heart was broken, listening to the news. And so one day I just heard myself say, well, there's other human beings on this planet that have done worthwhile things. And because I kept saying, where are the brave people? Where are the innovators? Where are the heroes and the sheroes? So once I ask myself questions like that, it stays in there and it will look, And I started thinking of people that inspired me. And I was like, I'm not gonna agonize over these things. I'm just gonna bang them out. And by doing that, T, I've always been looking for this freer style with more expressive marks. And, so that's what I did with this series for most of them. Some of them I got obsessively compulsive. But the most important thing is I couldn't stop painting them until when I looked at their face, that face made me feel like that person made me feel. I had to have that feeling. And like MLK, it wasn't one of his sweet little smiley faces. It was him preaching. It was awesome. And like Aretha Franklin.
Oh, I like that piece.
Oh man, she's like wailing. There's lots of cute ones of her with her, but I don't need the cute ones like Frida Kahlo. You could take a squirrel and put a unibrow and flowers in the hair and call it Frida. That upsets me terribly.
Who did that?
Everybody. Everywhere you go, you see Frida Kahlo bastardized for commercial use. But me, I found one with her actually looking down in this pensive thought because, I don't know if you were married to Diego Rivera and if you went through, revolutions and were skewered, in a bus accident, you'd be pensive too. I wanted to capture that person, that strong person that was a role model for me.
Yeah, you did capture her in that piece.
Yeah.
It's not like a la-di-da piece.
None of them are.
And I think maybe you might be somehow emulating her by being very serious about your feelings because she was. She had no problem doing a painting of her sadness or what she went through or her miscarriages.
Yeah. I mean, there's one of her as a deer with all these spears in her. Yeah. She did give a whole world of women permission and all people permission to express these feelings that people were not doing before. They weren't doing it.
Do you feel that this particular exhibit will inspire? What do you feel it will inspire in people when they see it?
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Because there's also a hanging sculpture of these floating bits. And there's this giant hand, I don't want to give it all away, this giant hand on a pedestal. And the torn out pieces, I'm inviting people to write what they want to let go of. Whether it be one of the titles, like ache or weep or broken or whatever, or, dad makes me crazy, and write it on a piece of paper and tear it. Because there's something so cathartic about tearing. And this paper is almost like cardboard. And you could just do it all day. So I invite people to tear and put it on the hand. And above the hand are all these small pieces going up into the universe, which is what the last painting is of the series, is letting it go. Letting it go. Release, it's called. And so I'm going to invite people to write things down, to put them on the hand. And there's bound to be some organic, fun, interesting things going on there.
So where is the exhibit going to be? Is it at the art spot at Antonia Arts?
No. It's at Wilfredo Moral's H Art Gallery.
Okay.
And it's 1 South Division Street. Yes.
Right on the corner.
Yes, right above the Chamber of Commerce. And it's October 21st. 2 to 5, and that's on a Saturday. So the show is going to be up from the 12th of October until the 11th of November.
November 11/11.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to be there each weekend as well, because not everybody can make every date you throw out to them. But it's going to be spirited, and it's going to be interactive, where people get to, I'm going to talk. Mm-hmm. And there may even be some poetry that comes on subsequent weeks.
Oh, because you are you are a poet as well.
Yes.
I think that when I first got to know you, I knew you were an artist, a painter, but we got to know each other at these poetry open houses that Scarlett and Toni would give.
Yeah.
And we'd all go up there and, you know, it almost felt like you're in, I don't know what it would feel like. Well, that's not true, I do. It's like reading poetry in Greenwich Village and everybody would get up and read a poem.
Yeah.
Or several poems. And I remember your stuff was, you're very multifaceted.
Yeah. I started doing both at a really, really young age.
Yeah,
you know?
tell me about that.
Oh.
Did you read poems to your mom?
I did. I did just one. But I did write poetry. I did write people's book reports. I did, I did write things. But I got in trouble for my art at a very young age. I was in kindergarten. Do you want to hear the kindergarten story?
I do. I do. I want to hear it.
So I lived in Millbrook, and I was, you know, talkative and bouncy and, you know.
I can imagine.
Oh, my goodness. One time she took my chair and pushed me into the corner, and I acted like I was driving a car. So, but anyway, we got to paint one day, and she said, you know, children, just draw something that you see in school. You know, and she probably just left to have a cigarette or something, you know. But but I asked her, I said, you know, does it have to be something real? And she probably was like, you're in kindergarten.
What do you know the difference between real and unreal?
Yeah. So next thing I know, a while, you know, some time had passed, and my mother had to go to the school for a meeting with the principal and the teacher on my behalf. Because the picture I drew was this tall woman with curly hair leaning down and kissing this bald man who's a little bit shorter. And the principal of the school was this bald man, and my teacher was this tall, curly-haired woman. You could tell who they were. And he's got it hanging up in his office, and she's like, My mother told me that story. Oh, my goodness.
She didn't. The teacher did not like it, but the principal did.
Yeah. Who knows what was going on? I don't know. I was in trouble already, you know. And you know, I would draw girls in bikinis, and just the boys were standing in line. They wanted a picture of girls in bikinis. It's like, you know, it's just triangles.
You're signing them?
Probably not. No.
You didn't know better.
Yeah. But I think in second grade, that was fifth grade, but second grade, I made a papier-mâché monkey with all these designs on it, and the Iron Cross made someone think it was, I thought it was just an abstract design, but it's something to do with Nazis. So, you know, I'm controversial in second grade, my controversial monkey. So, you know, stuff like that. And, and in seventh grade, we were doing, you know, public service posters for stay off of drugs and alcohol. So I did this young woman with this, you know, really old face and this hair, and it was my art teacher.
Did you consciously do that, or did it just?
Well, I kind of used her as a model.
Okay.
And she's holding this bottle of booze, and she's got these boots on and these tight jeans.
Nice.
But she would go in and I brought stuff in from home. And she picked up my pastels and started doing stuff with my eyes. I'm like, oh, back off.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, don't be drawing on my stuff.
That's a no-no.
Yeah. So I learned a lot about art, like the other side of art, how powerful it is.
Well, you made social commentary. It was social commentary.
Exactly, yeah. So, boy.
And you were honest.
Yeah. And my poetry, people had me write love poems. And then there was one time, I was like 14, we went to Maine, my parents and I went to Maine, this beautiful cabin, and it's like a vacation. And I was getting all my paints ready for the sunset. I wasn't used to doing that like plein air. And I didn't have them ready in time. It went down. So I wrote a poem, very descriptive, about the sky and the stars coming out and all this stuff. And my parents were very impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, your poetry is really impressive. I've heard much of it. You know, I haven't heard you do poetry for a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, nobody's fault. But, you know, I just have to get out there more.
Yeah.
You know, but you're really quite sensational. When I noticed that your work had taken a turn towards the extraordinary is when I saw your portrait of Pete Seeger.
Oh, yeah.
Now that was like, Maureen, look at you. You know, now tell me, like, how did you evolve to that? Did it just kind of just happen? Were you working on your work? Did you take instruction?
No, well, I did study from Andrew Lattimore. And,
okay, I know who he is.
Yes, and, you know, briefly. Mm-hmm. And Ed Burke, who is amazing.
We know him too.
Yeah, and, you know, I'd been doing portraiture for a long time, since I'm a kid. But the oil paints, so here I am, it's like open studios. I had the portraits out, and they're small, that series. Mm-hmm. And I had Pete just barely sketched out on this little block of canvas. And this guy comes in. I said, "You look familiar. Do I know you?" And he kept insisting, no, but he's this actor on movie actor. Mm-hmm. And he just didn't want me to know. He lives in Beacon. And so I still couldn't figure out who the hell he was. So I said, well, he says, "I'd like to buy that." And I said, "Oh, well, it's not finished. I have to finish it." And he goes, "Okay, well, when will it be done?" I said, "Well, give me another week." And he goes, "Okay, so now that I know that somebody else, I wasn't no longer painting it for me." The other ones, like Amelia Earhart and, you know, all like...
Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, yeah.
Leonardo, come on.
I did a painting from a drawing. It was so cool. That was so cool. And Jacques Cousteau, he's smiling in the sun and he's got a wetsuit on and all these beautiful wrinkles and it's gorgeous. Nothing's all like, you know, gently smooth together. It's like striking instead. And I like that. So now Pete, it's like, oh God. Yeah, I agonized over that one. But it was so much detail. Did you see his hat? His multicolor, all this pattern in his little hat.
That was when I realized that you had really changed. You know, not that you were ever like a bad artist, but
no,
now
you
had a reason to like look at your work and really care. Just for the audience, Pete Seeger was someone, and he was famous.
Yes.
He still is, but he was someone that was from the Hudson Valley where we are.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of like
He saved the Hudson River.
Yeah, he saved the Hudson River.
And he worked for unions, and he sang songs, and he got on the
banjo.
blacklist. Yeah, and yeah, he was definitely very social active. He's a folk singer, so I didn't totally appreciate his music then, but I appreciate what he did for the Hudson River.
Yes, yes, and also he has,
water.
And his protege, I have to mention Fred Gillen.
Yes.
You have to mention Fred Gillen.
You do?
Because he's really following in his footsteps.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure he's seen your work. Mm-hmm. If not, we'll make sure he sees it.
Who, Fred?
Of Pete Seeger.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that particular painting, each one I used a reference. There's hundreds of photos of all these people, most of them. And I found one of Pete, and he's holding his hands behind his ears because he used to have everybody sing along all the time. So when I look at it, it's like, oh, it's like he wants us to continue singing. Like, keep singing. I might be gone, but keep singing.
Like he's still listening.
Yeah. I want to hear you. Don't give up.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. I'm very excited about your exhibit that's coming up.
Yeah.
Because I have seen you go through some changes with your art. Mm. You know, and I feel privileged to actually have been like kind of close to the source, you know. And you know, or maybe not, I kind of cyber spy on artists to see how they're doing.
Don't we all?
Well, yeah. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
And I believe you're an inspiration. I know that you were doing some teaching for a while as well.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, how are your students doing?
Well, they're doing well. Some of them. Some just did it for something to do at the moment.
Yeah.
But some have taken off. But you know, it was Altier in my studio, so you know, my studio is much smaller now.
Yeah.
But so there's no teaching there.
But you're still doing your thing.
Yeah.
So what's next after this?
Who knows? Maybe flowers and landscapes. Maybe.
Again.
Maybe I can get back into that. Actually, I do feel like there is a subsequent series to come from this of the actual letting go. A whole series of how it feels, you know, how to identify letting go. Yeah. So, you know, so many people have died during this pandemic.
Yeah.
And so much sadness. Let's scoop it up and release it.
Yeah. I like the whole premise of your exhibit, and also with the sculpture hand, and I've seen that.
It's wild.
I was privileged to be able to see it. There's a mobile and there's all this. You got to see it, people. It's really good, you know, and it'll move you, you know. So at the opening, when is the opening reception?
The opening reception is Saturday, October 21st.
Okay.
From 2 to 5. And Wilfredo puts out this incredible spread.
Yes.
You know, and it's a beautiful gallery with the exposed brick, and it's just gorgeous in there.
Yeah, he's such an advocate for the arts.
Oh, my goodness.
And, you know, to know him is to love him.
We love you, Wilfredo.
We love him, yeah. And I really thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Thank
you. Want the audience to know what your website is, because you must go to her website and see it.
Okay.
So just say it one more time.
It's Winzig Art, WINZIG art.com. That's it. WinzigArt.com.
WinzigArt.com.
Yeah.
And so, Maureen Winzig, you've come a long way, baby.
Thank you. You
yes,
too.
Well, it's all about you tonight. Yes, it is. You really have. And I seen you through things when you were on Division Street, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, I think I just moved down here, and you're very kind to embrace my presence in the artist neighborhood.
Absolutely.
With my dog, my dearly departed Lillian, you know, we all miss her.
Yeah.
But she loved you.
Yep.
She'd walk by and look up and bark, "Where are you,
Lily?"
Yeah, she was a sweet thing. But thank you so much, Maureen, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And I'm so looking forward to your opening. I have
great.
every intention of being there, and I know it'll be a big hit.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes, and WinzigArt.com. Go there. You'll see Maureen Winzig's work, and her opening is on October 21st at 2 to 5 p.m. So be there or be square, as my daddy would say. That's just the way it goes. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
until next time, I'll bring you the most interesting people I can find on the planet. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.